Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Nissan Leaf. First thing I'm going to point out, if you ever get messages inside of the middle part of the cluster, you can tap the button along the right-hand side here, the scroll wheel, in order to be able to get rid of it. The steering wheel inside the vehicle is probably going to be heated. It's heated in most trims. In the infotainment system, bottom left side, you can tap the icon there in order to toggle on your heated steering wheel, and it's heated all the way around. The steering wheel inside the vehicle is also going to be manual telescoping across the lineup. So down by your left knee there's a release. So release it, and full telescoping so you can go in, out, up and down to find that perfect position. And once you do, click it in order to be able to lock it back into place. There are a series of different buttons and stalks on the steering wheel itself, but down by your left knee here, you've got a few basic buttons that are available. So the first one here, auto hold. If you have that one turned on, you come down to a complete stop and take your foot off the brake pedal. The car is not going to move. There's your electronic parking brake. Pull towards you to turn it on. Push and hold the brake pedal. Push away to toggle it off. You can turn your heated steering wheel on off this way. And then there's also going to be your steering assist. So that's going to be the lane centering system that's available inside the vehicle. I'll explain that one as we get into our cruise control system. Stock along the left-hand side here, you've got the option of putting yourself into an auto lamp mode there. So that's auto high beams. So what's going to happen here? So if we push away, you can see there, we're not flashing our high beams out, or locking them on, I should say, because you're in the auto mode with the auto light mode. So what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. But if you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out, go into the headlight mode. So you've got a few different options. So headlight mode there, push away to toggle them on. You can pull towards you in order to toggle them off. You just want to be in the auto mode though, the majority of the time. Stock along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you can go up a level just for a quick wipe. You can go down a level to go to the intermittent mode, in which case you can use the rocker in the middle there to see how fast or slow rain's hitting the windshield. Go to one of those faster modes instead, and then you just pull in towards you in order to get that front wiper fluid going. The car has paddles, and they're not paddle shifters. So what these things will actually do is they're regen braking paddles. So you can go regen braking this way. There's also one pedal drive. I'll explain that one in a few minutes. But the paddles themselves actually work pretty nicely. So you can really control what that regen braking level is going to be like. You've got a series of different buttons here too. So you can adjust out your volume this way if you'd like to. You can adjust out your volume this way if you'd like to. Push in the middle to toggle your audio off. From there, you've got controls here, and this is going to be for your cruise control system. There are two different types of cruise control available inside of the Nissan Leaf. There's adaptive cruise control and then your traditional old school normal cruise control. And the difference with the normal cruise control, let's say if you set your speed at 60, if the car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. Versus the adaptive cruise control system, if you have it set at 60, the car in front of you slows down, yours will auto brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it's going to pick you back up to your previously set speed again. But to use the system, you toggle it on initially this way. And you can see that we've got a few basic icons that have popped up, letting us know that the cruise control system is now actively set. From there, you'd push on the set button here in order to set your speed. It's not going to work because I'm parked. But from there, you set your speed and then you can increase or decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. You can push and hold up or push and hold down in order to increase, decrease at larger increments. You can hit the brake pedal to cancel or pause your speed. You can push cancel to cancel or pause your speed. And then you'd push up again in order to resume your previously set speed. But one thing that you can do here is if you take that button, if you push and hold it instead, when you go to toggle it on. So what I'm going to do, I've toggled the system on, so you toggle it off, and as you go to turn it on, you push and hold it instead, and watch this. So it's gotten rid of a few of those messages, but it's given us that basic cruise control system. So that's going to be your normal cruise control. So as a default, it's always going to default to your adaptive cruise system, but you can push and hold to go to the old school cruise. You'd still set it, increase, decrease as necessary there, but I'm just a bigger fan of using the adaptive because that's where this button also comes into play. And that's your gap adjustment with 3 unique levels. And I want you to think of that like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, for how close or far you are away from the leading vehicle. I'm personally okay on level 1 most of the time, but you might want to be on 2 or 3, just depending on your own personal comfort level and your reaction speed. But if you want a live demonstration of using the cruise control system, you'll find a video down in the description of this video. From here, you've got a voice command prompt where you'd be able to do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice. If you were hooked up to Android or iPhone devices, you could do a long push and hold of this button in order to be able to activate either your Siri or your Google Assistant. From there, you've got a few other buttons here. I will explain this one. So your left versus right side. Left side means that we're going to move through the cluster screen as we go left versus right, versus the right side now gives us controls for the infotainment system. And I just got to say, Nissan, like they introduced this in the Armada, this is a fantastic control. I love the way that they've done this. But you can even go up now in order to move between sub-pages here too. So if you really wanted to control the infotainment system without actually touching the screen, you can just highlight the right side there to control the infotainment, or here in order to control the cluster. From there, up and down gets you to a few different things inside of the cluster. Left versus right brings you between a few different pages, and then you've got a basic back button there instead. And then your little scroll wheel up and down here, you can also push and hold that one. That acts as an OK button for a series of different pages inside of the cluster. Inside of the cluster screen, you've got your Regen braking gauge with your power gauge. I want you to think of the power gauge here, kind of like your traditional RPM counter. So you put your foot down and it's how much power are you actively using. E-step, if that one's available, so on, off, etc. That's going to be your one pedal drive. You've also got your paddles here on top of that. So as you go to drive, you'll be able to increase your Regen braking level, which means that it's going to try to recapture that charge as well. So if you're not a fan of the E-step, so that one pedal drive system, you can use the paddles here in order to find that perfect position for you instead. So those 4 unique braking levels. From there, you can see the gear that you're currently in. We've got our sensors there as well. So are you closer to obstacles? Yes, no. It shows you right inside of the cluster there as well. You can see the current time, what your charge level is with your mileage until empty. You do have the flexibility of being able to change out your measurement units inside of the infotainment system. What you're going to do, if you go to your settings, you've got general and then units. So you can change it out between either miles or kilometers this way. And then you can also change out your temperature. Do you want to be in either Celsius or Fahrenheit? There are a few more advanced options available inside of the cluster that I'll point out as we dive a little bit deeper into that screen. But one other cool thing you can do is change out the display, specifically with some background themes. So if you wanted a different theme option with different colors, that's available. So you can really kind of customize this. I mean, look at that. Bright, vibrant. So there are a few basic theme options that are available. So kind of play around with that one until you find one that works perfect for your style. From here, you've got your speedometer. That's done 2 different ways. And then you can use the right pad in order to be able to move between all of your different options here. So you've got your basic home screen there with your direction that you're facing. Scrolling down a level is a basic blank screen instead. Shooting across one gives us our trip counters. So you've got a few different counters that are available. You can push and hold the OK button along the steering wheel, so that little scroll wheel along the right side. Push and hold in order to be able to reset all items, economy, average speed, driving distance, etc. Or push back in order to get back to the main screen here instead. So you get a few basic options there. Shooting across another level is going to be a few other options. So you can see your tire pressure. PSI, you can change it to a few different options there too. I'll show you that as we dive in deeper. You can see your charge options there. Max power information, and then battery info with navigation on top of that. So if you have an active route going for factory navigation, that would show up inside of the cluster screen here. But one cool thing through Apple CarPlay, if you've got an active route going on Waze and Apple Maps, it would actually show you right there as well. So there is enhanced integration available inside of the Nissan Leaf. You can also go to a driving assistance page view there instead. There's also going to be your current media that's playing. And then this one here, you can see all of your different safety systems, if they were enabled, disabled, etc., to a basic menu screen, and then your speed limit sign, if that was there. And then there are a bunch of different settings that are available. So if you want to, you can tap the OK button in order to get to a bunch of different settings. So starting off, you've got VDC. So that's going to be traction stability control. The only time I recommend toggling that one off in really slippery, snowy conditions if you're not getting good wheel traction. But outside of that, leave it toggled on. Driving assistance with your lane centering assist. So you can toggle it on this way. There's also a button down by your left knee to be able to toggle that assist system on or off as well. So lane centering is available there when you're using the cruise control system. Now, it's not hands-free driving, but if you go around a bend, you lose focus for a brief second, etc. If your hands are off the wheel up to 10 seconds, it's going to perfectly take you around that bend. It's a great system overall, and that's if the lane markings are recognized. There's a lane assist, which is going to be a basic lane keeping system. So if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it's going to nudge you back into your lane. But you can toggle that system off completely if you'd like to. And then do you want to get a vibration when you accidentally move into another lane without signaling? A little bit of a vibration, almost as if you're running over rumble pavement or there's something wrong with your alignment. There's nothing wrong outside of the vehicle telling you that you're moving into a lane without signaling. There's blind spot assist, so if somebody enters the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, do you want to get a warning or an intervention, so that nudge back just to make sure that you don't accidentally slam into somebody? Basic emergency assist options, so emergency braking. If you're potentially going to get into a collision, it can brake for you. Traffic sign info, do you want to show speed limit, yes or no, with warnings, etc. Not a fan. I'm going to turn that one off. Options for your parking assist, so rear auto braking. As you go to back up, if there's an obstacle behind you, it can automatically brake for you. Rear cross traffic alert, as you back up. If somebody's coming for the left or the right side, it can let you know of a possible collision. Moving object, if you're backing up, there's an object there, it can give you a heads up. You can toggle the sensing systems on or off as well. So we go drive for a second there, or reverse, etc. You've got your basic parking sensors, front and back. So do you want your parking sensors to show up there, yes or no? Do you want them toggled on, off? And at what distance will they come on? If you're a little bit further from a vehicle, if you're a little bit closer, etc., or obstacle, whatever the case may be. Do you want to show it? And then do you want the volume to be at either a high, medium, or low level there instead? Driver monitor, if you're looking drowsy, etc., you can toggle that one off, but you get a notification otherwise letting you know that you should probably take a break. And then there's also e-step. Do you want to be able to retain that when you turn the vehicle off and then back on again? Basic options for your eco driving. Do you want to look at your history, etc.? TPMS settings. So do you want your tire pressure to be measured in PSI, kPa, bar, etc.? A series of vehicle settings here. So for lighting, welcome lights. So when you go to approach the vehicle, unlock the doors, do you get any sort of welcome lighting there? Auto light delay. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do the lights just turn off or do they stay on for up to 3 minutes? A person just a bigger fan of 30 seconds. Do you want your headlights to come on with your wipers? Yay, nay. You've got some options for locking. Do you want to get a horn when you actually lock your door? I think that one makes sense. When do you want your doors to automatically unlock? When you park, when you turn the car off, or do you never want them to automatically unlock? You might want to do that from a basic safety perspective. You can also do a walk-away auto lock and then an approach unlock too. So if you've got the key fob on you, you don't even need to pull it out of your pocket in order to be able to unlock the doors. There is a little button along the driver's side door there you can use in order to be able to lock the doors if you'd like to. Basic options for your wipers, speed dependent, drip wipe. So if you've got the front wipers going, at the end of the wipe cycle, it'll go one more time to get rid of any excess liquid. Then there's a custom drive mode that you can create here as well. And in your custom drive mode, what does it look like? Your acceleration, do you want it to be sport, standard, etc.? So sport is going to give you the best possible performance. With your regen braking level, what level do you want to be at there? Do you want your steering to be standard or sport? So sport stiffens things up versus standard is a little bit more loosey-goosey. And then you can also reset it back to the default there instead. There's a rear door alert available there as well. Your clock. Do you want to show that one inside of the cluster screen? Yay, nay. EV settings. You can lock the connector cable if you'd like to, or you can also do an auto as well. So just from a general safety perspective, if you don't want people to just be able to unplug your car, you can actually lock this thing. I think that's kind of useful. When it's estimating how long it's going to take for you to charge up, are we going based off of just a regular level 1 wall plug? Are we going level 2, or are we looking at DC fast charging there instead? Your power outlets are available there. And what level are they going to be available until? So once it hits that level, it'll just kill off those outlets. You can get a reminder limit, and then there's also a charge limit here as well. So you can adjust the charge limit through the cluster screen here, but you'll have more advanced options inside of the infotainment system. There's some basic maintenance information for tires. Basic counters there. You can customize the display here too. Watch this. I mean, that looks kind of neat. I'm personally a bigger fan. You'll have a fuller mapping cluster view there, but I like the old school look that way. Matter of preference. You can see what's showing up on the main home screen there as well. So do you just want it to be blank? Maybe you're a bigger fan of just nothing on the screen. So you've got quite a few different options in the main screen there if you'd like. Back to save it in. For route guidance, do you want to get alerts if they're available? Pilot assist display when you're actively using the cruise control system. Do you want to get a welcome effect, animation, and sounds when you first start the car up? You can change out your measurement units here. So your mileage, do you want to be in kilometers, miles, etc., and how do you want it to be measured? If you're going kilometers, you'll probably be used to the kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. That'll be very similar to liters per 100 kilometers. Do you want your tire pressure measured in PSI, kPa, bar? How do you want your temperature measured? And what language do you want to use here as well? You can also do, it says factory reset, but it's essentially just going to reset all of the settings that you've created inside of the cluster back to the default there instead. From here, you've got all of your climate control settings there with a series of advanced climate control settings inside of the infotainment. If you want a full walkthrough on the infotainment though, you'll find it in the description of this video. Your four-way blinkers are there. You can change between songs or stations that way. Button push in order to pull up your camera. Like this, you keep on tapping and it's going to give you a series of different looks that are available. Watch this, under view, kind of neat. And then back again. You can take that same button, if you push and hold it instead, that's going to turn you between either a day or a night mode. But I mean, night mode, Google Maps, I just think that looks beautiful. Your volume rockers there, push in the middle in order to mute audio. You've got your shifter here as well, so park, reverse, neutral, drive. And then your D mode, and these are all of your available drive modes. So there's a personal mode available, so that's, you can customize that mode. There's sport mode available here too, which is going to give you the best possible performance and also stiffens up the feel of the steering wheel. The benefit of sport mode, it's a heck of a lot of fun. The downside is it uses a little bit more of the battery in comparison. From there, there's a standard mode, so that's just going to be for your day-to-day driving. And then eco if you want the best possible economy inside of the vehicle. There's also going to be your e-step. So that's going to be a one-pedal drive system. So whether or not that one is enabled, disabled along the left part of the cluster there. So with the e-step on, you take your foot off the brake pedal and you slow down fairly rapidly. And then you've also got your paddles that are available if you wanted to control your Regen braking level that way instead. From there, manual dimming, rear view mirror. There's a sunglasses holder there. Basic controls for your cabin lights, SOS mode, and then there's also going to be the available lights on when the doors are open or not. In the platinum trim level, you would also have an available roof here, so fixed in place, but it's also dimmable too, which is kind of neat. And there's also going to be your visor with a ticket receipt holder, vanity mirror with a light built in on top of that, and then this little feller also stretches out to block all of the sun that might be hitting your face. So I know that was a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Nissan Leaf.